Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Aliens and UFOs Encounters video. Once again, I'm mixing another one of these in here from the reddit.com website, there from the subreddit called Abductions. The reason I wanted to do this one is because I'm still having a lot of fun showcasing all of these amazing experiences and frightful ones in some cases that people are having. This one, though, is an extremely cautionary tale. It goes to show about the danger associated with trying to purposely summon whatever these aliens are. They could be aliens, they could be grays, they could be something else, but this user did that and then claimed that they had a very frightful abduction experience from it afterward. But it comes from a user by the name of Lavishness OK 4993, and they titled theirs as "I saw a UFO in 2014 or 2015 and was abducted in 2019." So let's go ahead and let's share it here, and then I'll mention one other little thing at the end about a book I once purchased involving the world of summoning aliens and how I didn't do anything with it afterwards. So here's what they state. UFO sighting. This all started in the year of 2014 or 2015. At the time, I was exploring a lot of information on aliens. One of the alien groups I was drawn to was the Arcturian aliens. I heard that this was supposedly a benevolent group of aliens whose intention was to raise the consciousness on our planet. After doing what I thought at the time was a pretty good amount of research on them, I decided to call on them and ask them to show me if they were real. Back then, I used to always go to work with my mother. I was about 19 at the time, and she worked at IBM as a security guard on evening/night shift. She worked in this tall building with probably about 5 floors. I used to always go up to one of the top floors and then sit in this meeting room where the entire wall was one huge window. Sometimes I would sit there and look out this window and just think about life. One day, I decided to sit in that room and read an ebook on my phone about the Arcturian aliens. After reading for a while, I decided that it would be a good idea to call on them and ask them to show themselves to me if they were real. It probably wasn't even a couple of hours later when I looked out that huge window and saw what looked like a UFO flying slowly across the sky. At first, I thought that it may have been a plane or something, but as I continued to look at it, I noticed its weird shape and the fact that it did not have the blinking lights on the bottom of it like most airplanes are required to have, and it was cube-like in shape. It was shaped really weird. It's hard to explain, and the color of it was pitch black. It had a very ominous feeling to it. I was a little confused because, to my knowledge, the Arcturian aliens were benevolent and kind, but this flying object had a very ominous feeling and was the color of black tourmaline. I continued to look at it. All of a sudden, the plane made a movement that no airplane could make, at least to my knowledge. Instead of continuing to go straight in the direction it had been going, it moved itself back behind the cloud and then just disappeared into thin air. I never saw that flying object again. I still to this day believe that it was the Arcturian aliens or someone pretending to be the Arcturian aliens. After that, I decided to stop reading that book, and I told myself that I would never call on those aliens again. Abduction. This all took place in about 2019. I was going through some hard times at that point, so I decided to call on the Arcturian aliens again out of desperation because I felt like I was being attacked spiritually or physically by something or someone, and I felt that I needed assistance. After I called on them, I laid down on the couch in my living room to meditate, but after meditating for only a few minutes, all of a sudden I could not move my body. It felt like I was in a state of sleep paralysis, but I had not fallen asleep. I tried my best to get up, but I could not move my body. That's when all of a sudden everything around me changed. You know how in the movies someone will get abducted and the room around them will be nothing but white light while they're laying down on an operation table and can't move? That's how it was for me. The room around me changed into white light, but it was weird because I could still vaguely see my living room through the white light, almost as if they laid their room over on top of my living room. Suddenly, these beings came walking through my patio door, but they didn't go through the door. It's like they just walked through it like it wasn't there. There were 2 of them. They had on black robes, and their faces were completely covered. Remember the black spaceship? Well, they came over to the table and one of them started to touch my private area like they were examining it. And then after a little while, the other one took out this long silver tube that had a curve in it and then put this tube in my mouth and down my throat and then squeezed what felt like some type of gas down my throat and into my body. After that, they turned around and left and the room went back to normal and I was able to get up. When I looked at the clock, about 5 hours had passed when it only felt like I had been laying down for maybe half an hour at most. When I had first laid down, it was about 12 a.m. After all of this was over and I checked the clock, it was after 5 a.m. and the sun was just beginning to rise. Whatever they squeezed down my throat made me feel different. I felt flat. That's the only way I can explain it. To this day, I don't know who or what those beings were. I would have attached a photo of what the beings look like, but this sub doesn't allow images, so if you want to see a photo, look at my profile. Then that's it. That's everything that the user Lavishness OK4993 mentioned in their encounter. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that here. As you can see, the reason why I picked this is because it's a very good cautionary tale when it comes to that stuff. I guess I'll mention it now. So a couple of years back, like I would say around maybe 10, probably 10, a little over 10 years or so, I remember there was a book I found on Amazon, and it was a book and it was pretty cheap in price, and so it said this book was a way to summon aliens. This was way before I was even doing anything on my channel involving aliens, UFOs, that kind of stuff. So I was looking at it, and so I thought, why not? Let me just order it. And so I ordered the book. It arrived. I remember it had like an orange cover. It was larger than most books. Like I would say it was about the size of a tabloid magazine, maybe even larger. And it was pretty thick, like I would say about maybe 100, 150 pages or so. And I remember just flipping through it. But something inside me was telling me, like, don't read this. Like, you don't want to have anything along those lines, like when it comes to a bad experience. What if you're summoning these aliens, but at the same time, it doesn't go as planned? I do remember, though, reading on the Amazon listing that there was a brief synopsis of it. And apparently the book would state that it would tell you, go to a blank spot somewhere out there, like in other words, a blank field, like a desolate field or patch of grass, something like that. And I remember saying that it would teach you how to look up at the clouds and then use your power of your mind to start forming the clouds into certain signals, and then those signals would help attract the aliens and so on. So that's the farthest that I got when it came to that Amazon listing, and then that was it. I never read any page of the book, never saw anything within it, just basically what the Amazon listing was, and then that's it. I think I still have the book somewhere around, but to this day it's remained there because I don't want to deal with it because of this. This encounter made me remember exactly why I didn't read that book. Here you have this scenario of this person. Don't know if it was a male or if it was a female, but this person just basically did that twice. They were in, it looks like an IBM building. They were in a meeting room, and then they decided to do some kind of meditation, and then that meditation brought forth a UFO in the distance. This UFO, too much of a coincidence that it was just randomly there in front of the very window that this user was facing out of, like they were looking towards. And then a couple of years later, whenever they were feeling down, depressed, something like that, they stated that they were being attacked spiritually or physically. They decided to once again summon these aliens, which, by the way, were again listed as Arcturian aliens. And then lo and behold, when they decided to meditate in their living room, my guess is that their mother was once again working the night shift, and so they were by themselves at home this time. That's when these aliens came through. They went through the patio. They held this poor user captive. Either they transported him or her to a location, or like the user thought, they pretty much brought their location to that person's living room, and then they decided to strip that person naked and then put something in their mouth when it came to some device, and then released some type of gas within their body. So all around, again, a pretty frightful abduction encounter. They did it once. They saw a UFO from far away. That should have been the lesson right there. And then they did it twice, and then lo and behold, they had these two grays or two aliens come forth and then just completely take over their body. Just horrible all around experience. And obviously, with 5 hours of missing time, who knows what else was done to the user during that time period? They might have those memories come back whenever they stop being repressed or something else happens and they go under hypnosis. But 5 hours is now gone and not accounted for that user, and it's all because of what they did. So again, cautionary tale when it comes to that stuff. I do not recommend anything involving summoning these creatures, to these aliens, grays, whatever they are. If you see one by accident, that's a whole different story, but do not summon these things on your own. Otherwise, you risk something like this happening. But let me know what you guys and gals think. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.